Hello everyone, we are playing Mutants in the Dark, Unity. We open in the sprawling dark northern sea as a billboard pokes out of the water. You can read there in English and Chinese, Mount Pleasant, a climate of change, a climate of opportunity. And as you go deeper into what was used to be the old coastline, and you see old buildings poking out, we see a massive, gray, sprawling harbor that stretches around the side coast of Greenland, contrasting with the clean purple and blues neons of the majestic architectonic and technological wonders of the city on the top of the mountains. And nested between the harbor and the range, we see a dark spot. But it's not so dark. It's filled with light, as it is a time of celebration. It's 21st of February of 2044, and it's time to celebrate Unity Day. And we zoom in into the crowded streets and pathways of the Mutant safe zone of Unity, and we see our cast. So why don't we start introducing our own people? Kyle, take the lead. Introduce yourself and your character.
All right, I'm Kyle, he, him pronouns. My character goes by Flint, she, her pronouns. She is a pyromantic, or pyrokinetic, basically.
So tell us, what is her background before she joined Unity?
Well, I took the urban and privileged heritages, so she had a fairly well-off life before the whole mutant thing came up, and she legally became not a person. I figured I'd flesh it out and play.
Yeah, and we see what she's doing on that festival. So I think that she's the type that enjoys a good party. Am I right?
Yes. So she's out there like dancing it up with the crowd. I don't know if there's a mosh pit or something, but if there is, she's in it.
So why don't you tell us about her closest friends that must have been on this party?
Yeah, all right. Her two close friends are Francis, a nightclub owner, and Brandon, a sex worker. She both knows them mostly through they go to the same club, the one that Francis owns mostly, and they just that's where they know each other, and that's where they party together a lot, and they're sort of in the same area partying it up together now.
So we get to another character. So Michael.
Yeah, hi, I'm Michael. I use he, him pronouns. And I'm playing Alicia Maddox, who goes by Gray on the streets. And she is a chopper, which means that she has the ability to mess with people's memories in some ways, which is really interesting. As far as her background goes, she's her heritage is like urban and upper crust. So I think that she's someone who is used to living in big cities and kind of made her way and went to college and got a degree and I think like she has like a psychology kind of background, right? Um, as far as what she's doing now, I think that she's like kind of sitting at a cafe, like drinking a bubble tea, and she's doing people watching. And I think she's like probably looking at two different groups, where one group is really excited about Unity Day and how like celebrating mutants and their community, and then she sees another group that's like really angry about the irony of Unity Day and the fact that they're still kind of marginalized by the rest of the city. So she's just sort of observing the different conversations that the two groups are having, sitting back.
So as she's doing that, she hears the very familiar purr of an engine. She recognized that of an old friend of hers who enters the coffee.
Yeah, that's probably my close friend James, who's a street racer. Yeah.
So what kind of event happens on the Unity Festival that will get such a speed demon like James excited?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think that the parade for Unity is less like slow moving floats kind of going through town as it is like fast cars and motorcycles and like slick rides and things like that. It's a chance for people to show off a little bit, and that's what James is really pumped for. And as like cold and stony as Gray might be, I think that she can't help but get infected with James's excitement a little bit.
Okay, so as we get to a shot of the fast cars of the parade, we turn to Tom's character.
Yes. So I'm playing J1, Kim J1. He is ethnically Korean, so the Kim is the family name, and J1 is the given name. So yeah, yeah. So he's a world breaker. So he looks much like you see in the photo there. So clean, simple haircut, like well built for his size. But he's not particularly tall. He's only like fairly average height, like 5'10" or something like that. Yeah, not a spot on him. Very pale skin, relatively speaking. So it looks like he doesn't really like suffer from sunburn or anything like that. But yeah, he would just be chilling out, I guess, like leaning against the side of a building, and some sort of energy drink in hand or something like that. Just watching the events go by as the festival unfolds around him.
So, what kind of thing we see in the back of Jay's that shows that there's still some life, some innovation, new things being done in Unity? What is being made, built new?
Oh, I see. So so you would see in Unity Heights, you would probably see the building of the sort of ramshackle sky bridges between some of the yeah some of the towers. They're not like, it's not badly made, but they're put together from scavenged parts. They look super ramshackle, but I reckon they would probably still hold up fairly well.
And while most of the people are enjoying the festival, there's someone that Jack knows is there. Who is it?
So that would probably be in the festival itself. That would probably be well, it could be either of his close friends. So he has two close friends. He has Marcus, a construction worker, who Jay probably works with to some degree, doing stuff. But also you've got Dominic as well. Dominic is a bit of an attention seeker. Dominic is an underground fighter, so they're friends because this is Jay's other source of revenue. He's like doing I guess cage matches for yuppie human tourists inside into the seedier parts of Unity's like underworld. So Dominic would definitely be a bit more ostentatious than Jay. Jay would be just sort of like letting things pass him by, but Dominic, who would probably be, I think Dominic's mutations are pretty unique. I think Dominic has like 4 arms. Yeah, like that character from Mortal Kombat, kind of like that. Yeah, it's really out there and attention grabbing. So so I think Dominic just sort of leans into it real hard, and will probably have like a crowd of people around them, sort of like trying to take photos and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that would be a thing. They would, yeah.
So who is the only mutant in the middle of this crowd of human tourists striking some kind of deal? Walter?
Who is the only human in this crowd of tourists?
No, rather, who is the only mutant in this crowd of human tourists?
Oh, there's a mutant in the crowd of tourists?
Yes, you.
Oh, me? I am. Okay. I'm hanging out with human tourists.
You are hanging out with one particularly tourist. If I get your shit correctly.
Oh, is that Brad?
Yeah, you're hanging out with Brad. Why don't you introduce your character and what you are doing with Brad?
Okay, yeah. So my character is also named Jessica, but maybe people only refer to her as Thorn, her nickname. Tell us apart. And yeah, Brad is an arms dealer, and Jessica is probably talking to Brad about how we can how she can acquire some arms for some business she might be up to. Jessica is a very striking woman. Her mutation is she has translucent skin and claws, and she is she's very heavily tattooed. She's an artist. She grew up very poor, and makes a living as best she can as a tattoo artist and selling her art. But she's always just gotten by day to day.
So Brad is talking very excited about some new weaponry that is willing to move. And he seems to be interested in finding buyers before the Unity Festival is well and done. And so, Flint, Kyle, why don't you tell me how is your family doing living among the humans? And what do they send you this Unity Festival?
I didn't catch what you said after something about what they're doing with the humans. I didn't say.
So how are your how is your family doing, living as humans, and what have they sent you to celebrate this Unity Festival?
I was thinking that the Flint doesn't really keep in touch with her family, so she hasn't heard from them or gotten anything from the festival from them.
And the other day in Flint's thoughts, she's kind of dismissive to this family that is on the other sides of the walls.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the name of the nightclub you are in now?
Magenta.
Mm-hmm. So the crowd of Magenta is not the usual short. There's a lot of humans now, and there is a lot of poor attitude. I mean, Brandon in particularly seems to be a bit disgusted at what seems to be, one of the few moments in which the mutants seem to enjoy themselves, and their culture is being taken over by humans. And worse yet is when from the VIP lounge you can hear a familiar laughter. You could recognize that everywhere. It's goddamn elegant. That piece of shit that keeps stealing designs from hard-working mutants and then selling it as high couture, as if they are their own creation. What happened the last time you encountered elegant?
Last time we met up, it was at some party where she was like, it was like an unofficial advertisement for her latest line, and we ended up like getting into an argument, and Flint was drunk and like accidentally lit a couple things on fire, and they weren't able to prove it was her, but it was, yeah, it's there's a feud now.
So you get this strange desire to set a bit more of things on fire until you receive a familiar beep from your glass communicator, and we see someone else that their communicator is also bleeping. We turn to Gray, and so Gray, there is a place in the Unity Heights, a place where Bridget and James lived. Apartment block 18. Why is apartment block 18 the most infamous building in the mutant safe zone?
Infamous, yeah. I think that it was like the site of like a pretty brutal like crackdown from the police. I think that there was like this one night that everyone remembers where a huge squad of police came and like shook a bunch of people down and like arrested a bunch of people. It all happened at Block 18.
So you get your blip on the glass, and you see an augmented reality view of apartment 18. You see its massive walls disappearing in the dark horizon of the blackened sky. You see that there are barely any lights on. You see that it's still damaged from the last time the police came there. You see its ugly triangular courtyard that stretch out among pillars of steel, covered with old tags that give it a bit of a soul. And you see 6 police cars parked outside of the building. And you see that the feed is in real time.
They always said that they never found what they were looking for that night. So I think that like we see Gray is in this car with James, like he's taking her for a ride. So when I kind of pull this up on my phone, and I think that he can kind of see it out of the corner of his eye. It's like, looks like we've got some heat at apartment 18.
Oh, God damn it. Is your friend there? And he's talking about someone that does not only know about the history of apartment 18, he lives there. His apartment is there. Well, he's assigned an apartment. We don't know how he managed to live there recently. So, Jacket, tell us, who helped you get used to life in apartment block 18?
I'm in apartment block 18. Okay. Right. So sorry, can you repeat the question for me? Who helped me get into apartment block 18?
Well, who let you get used to the life in apartment block 18? Because you moved there either 3 years ago or more recently.
Oh, I see. I think it would have been a few years ago. Yeah, a few years ago, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm really blanking on this one.
Might have been my character. My character's probably been in apartment block 18.
Mm-hmm. Right. For sure. I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Thorn ended up in apartment block 18 because it was just like the only place that she could afford.
So, what memento of their friendship between Thorn and Jack we see when we cut to Jack on his apartment in apartment block 18?
I mean, in Jack's apartment, maybe there's a there's like a piece of Thorn's art on the wall.
Oh, so Thorn, how do you express yourself within the confines of the Mutant safe zone? That's a good opportunity to expand on your art.
Yeah, yeah. I draw a lot, and I like to do tattoos. So I work in a tattoo parlor when I can get work there, and yeah, mostly I just draw like. Also, I like to do murals. So sometimes I'll put up murals around the mutant safe zone.
So what sort of style would you say Thorn does? Is it like for tattoos and stuff, would it be like realistic and detailed, or is it more abstract and sort of symbolic?
It tends to be relatively abstract, or in a style of like Mexican or Mexican American style murals, that sort of thing, and artwork.
Cool. Yeah, so there's definitely like a big wall length sort of not tapestry, but like a big long print of like a detailed shot of a very complex sort of thing that you've put together for Jay, because his skin is like very faintly marbled. It's like stone. He can't have tattoos. His skin can't be. He can't sort of like let his skin be. You can't break his skin, essentially, not like that at least. So the only way he can sort of like put together like an artistic sort of style like that is through possessions and stuff like that. So yeah, he would have definitely like asked you if you're one of the more prominent like artists at some point, or in Block 18, then he would have totally asked you to do something for him.
Yeah, I mean, prominence in Block 18 is like, this isn't like a fancy art gallery, right? Like, I'm not making much money, but I think I've put up murals all over the place. I've donated murals to some of the empty walls around apartment Block 18.
Thanks. Sweet.
So a lot of people are familiar with my work.
So we can say that you are the life of apartment block 18. That the tags that give life to it and inspire that, at least by your art, if not directly.
Yeah.
So everyone is getting this feed on your shared, let's say, group chat, augmented reality thing. So I guess it's time to a brief intermission where we ask the entire group a question. What is the dynamic of your group? How long have you known each other? What are the friendships within? What is your self-declared your self-declared goal as a group?
Yeah. Maybe there's a part of the community that we like to rally around?
Yeah, that tracks for me. I think Jay's only real concern is like looking out for the people inside, like his personal community. So yeah, that would be a big deal for him. Absolutely. Is there something that we're sorry?
I think you're muted.
I meant Michael should speak. Michael was about to say something.
Oh, well, I was gonna wait to hear what your question was. Go ahead.
Okay. Is there something where like known to be at risk of or under a threat of in Block 18?
Yes, there is. Michael, so what happened when the clinic on apartment block 18 closed?
What happened to the clinic? And you're saying the clinic was within apartment block 18?
Yes, and let's say that Bridget was the one that was keeping that clinic.
When it was officially closed by the government, you mean? Yeah, I think that all of the humans who had volunteered to work at the clinic or had been supervising the doctors there kind of left, and so now it's all mutants. I think maybe a couple of like diehard human volunteers and allies, but like yeah, I think it's sort of like an underground kind of thing now, which feel free to check me on if that doesn't necessarily line up with the clinic as described in the book.
The clinic on the book, it's pretty open because it kind of represents clinics in general because they are very decentralized, because there are no hospitals and whatnot on mutant safe zones. So it actually computes very well with the setting notes.
Cool. I just watched this movie called Hotel Artemis, which has like a cool underground clinic. It's sort of the main thing. So that's what I'm inspired by. So I think it's like, yeah, kind of a underground mutant clinic, not a lot of questions asked sort of thing. But I think it might be to the point where like humans are banned outright from coming in, volunteers or victims. You don't bring a human into the clinic.
So going back to Tom's question, apartment 18 is both in poorly state, the target of police and anti-mutants violence, but is also one of the best way mutants can get healthcare that is not through the legal channels, and that is an important function within the community.
Cool. That's a cool answer. Yeah, I like that.
So what do you folks rally around then?
It's interesting because I can see how like each of our characters has a close friend that seems tied to each of these kind of hubs in some way. Like I see that J1 has Marcus, who's a construction worker, who's probably part of these Skybridge construction situation going on, and I have Bridget, so I am curious, like we all have a finger in every pie, but like what is our team, like our squad, like personally devoted to? What brings us together?
Are we like just muscle, or did we have? So here's an idea. Maybe we had more of a direct involvement with getting these sky bridges put together by the mutant community as a way to better facilitate access to the clinic.
Oh, like apartment block 18 and the clinic here too. Well, yeah, or even just keep the clinic going, right? I mean, if it's an underground clinic, like how does it get its supplies? Maybe just like keeping it running is something that we have to take a hand in.
So yeah, like keeping it supplied. And
Yeah, if we can't afford the medication, maybe we have to take involuntary donations from some of the clinics in the rich parts of town.
exactly. I think what we're getting at is the clinic is the deal here. Like we're if not responsible for like keeping maintained, then like we're its connection to the outside world, basically.
So basically, you are all kind of co-owners of the clinic in a way.
Yeah. I wouldn't say owners. I don't think. I mean, I don't want to speak for anyone else in the group, but I don't think Jay like sees himself as like owning any part of a clinic. It's not a profit generating enterprise. It's a thing the community needs.
So, if I get it, so both Jack and Thorn live in apartment block 18. So there is a vested interest on their part. And then we have Gray that has a close friend that is very deeply related with the clinic. So, Kyle, why is Flint so invested in apartment 18 and its clinic?
I think she's had friends who've had to go there for like treatment, and it's probably like patched her up a couple times after like burns or something. So it's yeah.
So Flint has, I mean, between Flint and Thorn, they are probably the best of the aggressive fundraisers that has connections with the outside. And that affords them certain luxuries compared with the other two members of the team. What is that you have? What forbidden token of humanity you have been allowed or managed to keep? What thing that you should not have, you have?
I guess she has some like a fake ID that like a fake human ID.
Oh, that's rather impressive, especially considering how these algorithms and everything. So this is an optional identity that she can use, or they think that Jessica is a human.
It's just an optional thing. It's not a great fake, but it's just like the equivalent of like another driver's license or something. It wouldn't hold up to any serious investigation.
But this is enough on the system to trick algorithms. And to be honest, everyone trusts computers too much.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So, have you managed to think of a name to that ID, or are we gonna leave it open for when it's important?
Let's just call that ID Sam.
Hey, Sam, the human.
Yeah.
So, you see this footage of the cops approaching apartment block 18, and what do you do? I mean, part of you wants to lash out at the elegant for coming in your turf, giving your opportunity to tell her your mind, but at the same point, there are literal cops at the door. So what do you do?
Well, I figure the rest of the group are gonna be heading over that way. So Flint tries to meet up with them, and if she can't find them here, then just meet them at the apartment.
So we We know that the last time that we saw Gray, she was on the car with Jack. So Jack is always living the high life and danger, and Bridget is always putting herself out there with the clinic. So they are kind of choosing to take these risks, as well as the other members of the team. But someone close to you has not chosen this life, but has been targeted by the purists that believe that just dehumanizing mutants is not enough, and they want to escalate the effort. So what did they do to someone close to you?
Wow. Yeah, I think they tried to make an example out of them, basically. Maybe maybe not so much that. I mean, not to get too gory, but I think that they you're asking me what they did to this close friend of mine, right? I think that they tried to like exsanguinate them. They tried to like basically draw their blood to use for testing and like to prove their narrative or whatever, and kind of left them for dead, you know.
Okay, so this person close to you is a mutant.
Yeah. Is that what you were saying? Like they were targeted by the purists?
Yeah, but
Right.
I'll say the purists also don't like any humans that are pro-mutants. So
That's true. Were you hoping for a human?
no, not really. I could go either way. I just wanted to be sure that you were aware that would be also very fitting. So, Jack, you know a thing or two about buildings in Poor State, and you know which apartments in apartment block 18 have been uninhabited since the last ride. So there are a lot of children that have been separated from their families, and they organize themselves into gangs known as littles that are kind of softly supported by the community. Which of the buildings in Unity Heights Jack knows that a very big gang of littles are squatting on?
So it's obviously like an abandoned school of some sort, for sure. Like, and it would be a fairly like big centralized school, so like multi-storied, like a couple of tall buildings with like intentionally built sky bridges and stuff like that. Yeah, something where they could like treat it like a fort, so they would have people posted up on the top of floors, so they could look down and like they would sort of control it like a defensible place if they needed to. Yeah, definitely like an old high school of some sort.
Okay, so okay, so we get to everyone is close enough to the police cars in the front of apartment 18. So we know that well, you guys are just around the corner. You gather yourself together, you triangulate your positions. You are all gathered just around the corner. There is this old high school under the shade of the Sky Bridge that is being built to apartment 818. And you are just on the courtyard of this abandoned high school. There are one of the few little kids around also spying on the cops, just to be sure that they don't take them out. And what are you doing?
Was that for me?
All of you. You are all together there on the high school.
Sorry. Yeah. So Jack would be, I think, trying to sort of like get I suppose, a good lay of the land, and sort of think about what the real threat coming in here is. Like, obviously there's police cars, but what are they here for? What are they actually here to do? So he would be on where we're all together. Are we like on the roof of the building, or?
Let's say you are on the roof of the high school, because it's way more badass than being on the courtyard.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah. I'd be like, we're all together, and I'm just sort of trying to put together the situation, and see what can be seen, and sort of ask for input as well. Like, what do you think they're going to try and hit this time?
Were you hoping to hear from everybody, Ludo?
Sorry?
Were you hoping to hear from everybody what we're all doing?
Yeah, I was kind of trying to see the stance that everyone is taking and what they are discussing with each other, to see, so that I can get a picture of the position of everyone now that the police are going to act.
What do we think the police are going to do? Are the police just going to like raid Building 18 in general? Like, they're probably just going to shake it down?
Well, you know that the last time they were here, they were looking for something. You don't know exactly what they were looking for. They were not exactly helpful. It seems they are back.
I think I have my arms around like a couple of these littles who look like they're kind of riled up. I think that when they see cops, they're ready to kind of throw some rocks and get into some mischief. I think that the number of cop cars we see is significantly less than that one fateful night. But I think I'm saying, like, let's think calmly here. Let's not have a repeat of last time. Okay. They're going to come in, they're going to look. Let's just try to keep out of their way.
So it seems that that Gray is keeping this low tone and calm, collaborative demeanor. I mean, you can say that a few of the older kids that want to pick a fight and believe they can tussle with the police, they don't seem to like it, but generally they are in a calmer mood. So are the others just willing to let the police come in?
Yeah, Flint is just sort of watching, waiting to see if things escalate or if anyone needs to step in.
Yeah, Thorn is keeping an eye on things. I think Thorn is trying to keep out of the way, but definitely keep an eye on what's going on and keep a step ahead. Like, maybe if it looks like the police are going to go in, she might go up one of the back stairs or something to like try and meet them at the top.
Mm-hmm. Police start coming out of the car, and it's a dozen cops. And from the car closest to you, you can see this middle-aged man with aviator glasses that has, well, he will have a broom mustache, except he can only get half of it because half of his face has third-degree burns. And he looks around, looks with disgust at apartment block 18. It just shakes his head, and he starts to signal to the cops, and 6 of them start walking around the perimeter of the building, while the aviator cop goes in with 5 of his men. You don't see riot gear or anything like that, so it's not
So they don't have their
really-
guns drawn. They're just walking up.
Yeah, and they are uniformed, but they are not prepared, to tussle. But they are clearly trying to create some kind of perimeter.
So I want to try and deduce from the situation what they might want. Can I guess where they're going? Do they want to talk to somebody? Can I try to make a guess as to what's going on here?
Yeah,
based on what I see.
I will say you are doing a controlled study. Well, no, actually, controlled survey. So let's see. You can. So, are you familiar with Blades in the Dark rules?
Yes.
Okay. So you have a. Wait, just let me relink the full for the party in case if everyone. Okay. So, what is your survey?
My survey is nothing.
But you can take stress, and people can help.
Yeah, so I could push myself to try and get a better sense of what's going on here.
Or you can accept the devil's bargain.
I definitely
do you have
do.
one?
Sorry, Tom?
I'd like to help if I can. Yep.
So help is still with Blades in the Dark. When stress and you help, right?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not actually that familiar with Blades, so I'm not sure. I assume that's how it works. That's how you say it works. That's how it works.
Yeah, you spend 1 stress to help someone else, and it costs 2 stress to push yourself. And each can give you an extra die.
Sure.
Okay, so you get 1 extra dice for the help, and you get an extra dice for pushing yourself. And as devil bargains go, I would say that if you accept the devil bargains, the cops have reinforcements waiting that are somewhere in Unity. And that's why, if you accept this devil's bargain, the reason why they are so confident is because if things go nasty, they can just call in a van with riot gear.
Interesting. All right, I'll accept that. So that gives me 3 dice. So I'm going to go ahead and roll those.
And you are from a controlled position. You have your
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Here goes. Oh, cool. I got a critical success. 2 6s.
Okay, so you are far from blind to this. I mean, you have connections with Brad, and you know about Faye, fortune teller, and you know that from Faye's visions that they knew that the cops would come. And not only that, they knew exactly the excuse that they would use. So you know that the cops are not too happy with the clinic because there's a lot of big sponsors from the main providers of healthcare in the city, the very same ones that believed that keeping the operation was not profitable, that they are quite displeased because they fear that if the clinic is too functional, there will be people, human tourists, slumming in Unity that will go into apartment 18 clinic and get non-market prices instead of going to the clinics and hospitals that are on the monopolies of this big sponsor of the company. And beyond this social critic, Phi also suggested you that they have seen a lot of people recently selling UD. UD is it's a true blight for mutants and humans alive, because it's supposed to be this insanely addictive, empowering drug that allows new reaches of bliss in humans and even allows some of them to express powers. But the problem is that it requires blood and organs of mutants. So it is something that nobody really likes, but there is clearly someone, and probably they are human, making a profit from disgracing humans and literally exploiting the bodies of mutants. And they think that by disguising this as a raid on your lab, they can actually use it as an excuse to close down the clinic on apartment 18. So you watch this careful, and this is what you conclude, that they came here to close down the clinic. It's entirely motivated by financial reasons. They're gonna use the excuse, that they are chasing down a lead on a EOD drug lord, and they have the force to enforce this if it goes that way.
When you share that information, I think I look over to Flint and say, "Oh, that's not what I was expecting." Not to be rude, but I had kind of jumped to the conclusion that maybe that cop was here to see you.
No, fair enough, fair enough.
Well, I have a feeling they're here for drugs. They're probably going to try to track down Cloak. What do you think? Is this an opportunity for the cops to do our job for us? Take this
Do you
guy
have-
off the streets?
So I think Jack will. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna ask, Cloak. Do you know the person is someone actually selling UD that you know of?
Yeah, they're pretty ingrained here in Block 18, you know. Glad you've managed to keep yourself clean, but you know, there's a lot of people in here that kind of under his thumb.
Yeah, but I'm not sure they're actually here to pick up Cloak. I think they're just here to plant evidence. They'll probably close down the clinic and then leave Cloak here as well. We'll get the worst of both.
I don't think we want to like kill a bunch of cops on the clinic's doorstep either. So, I mean, what do we do?
Great. Do you have like a lead at all on where Cloak is, or is hanging out? Like they're here. Is Cloak actually here in Block 18?
What do you think, Ludo?
No way. I mean, all you guys are based in apartment 18. Your friends are apartment 18. You hate EOD and whoever deals on that. And Cloak knows especially that he has beef with you. And really, there is no chance to negotiate. He's not dumb enough to be in apartment 18. Hell, he's not even dumb enough to sell around apartment 18, much less.
Oh, okay.
But, well, he sells it to human tourists for sure. So places like Magenta, where human tourists hang, those can be places you can find Cloak's cronies.
So is it fair to say that there are people in apartment 18 who use EOD and are supplied by Cloak, but they have to go to him to get it? Or have we managed to cleanse that influence over this apartment block entirely?
Yeah, I will say this is your home turf, your base. So if you want, you have pushed the away from this. What you probably have are people that have been victims of the production.
Yeah, so let me kind of like retcon that a little bit then. So instead of there being people who are like under the thumb of Cloak, there are people who like bear his scars or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
you have a lot of people on apartment 18 that are relieved for the help of your group on that. And they really are thankful that you stopped them predating on them. So if you need contacts here or support of the populace, apartment block 18 is full of people that can help. Also, they really hate the cops that are just coming back in, and if that is going to get the cops out, I think they end up to any plans you guys come up with.
Well, here's a plan then. You know, so I mentioned that he's like, there's a good chance he's at Magenta, you know, like appealing to some of these human tourists who don't necessarily care about the ethical quandary of EOD. But yeah, you know, I think I would propose maybe if we serve Cloak up on a silver platter to the pigs, they'll leave us alone.
I mean, if they're looking for Cloak here, they're way off base. Is there something else here that we need to be wary of? Like, do we want to try and get some more information on what these whatever the cops are doing in our district, in our turf. You want to like do some eavesdropping.
So have we just assumed that they're here to try to take down the clinic, or are we certain?
Well, this is what my friends tell me.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
right. That's
Faye
right.
is the best fortune teller anywhere in the mutant zone, and if she saw it in visions, it's true.
So this is an
Skeptical look.
yeah, this is an important question. I mean, Thorn is very confident, but it's literally using as an argument. She's literally using as an argument fortune telling. So how everyone feels about that?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, Faye. Sure. No worries. Great thoughts. Okay.
But you're right, Jack. It couldn't hurt to do a little digging, I suppose, a little eavesdropping.
Yeah. Just wish we knew someone who was a bit better at that than.
Yeah. Well, I can listen in. Sure.
Well, as far as I see, because you know a lot of people within apartment block 18, you know the corners of the place, you know which people have glass. So as far as I see, there are two ways aside of powers that this can go. Either you can try to physically eavesdrop on them, or you can try to technologically hijack the surveilling system so that you can monitor the police.
I don't know if any of us are cool hackers or not. As really cool as that would be to see on screen. You know, I like this idea of try. We have some plans, you know, lined up, but I think immediately we have these cops who are coming up into our turf. So I do think that we have some means of like party communication, right? I think that's maybe one of the whisper's powers, right? Or silence.
I can definitely make it so that we can all communicate with each other.
So I think it'd be really cool if like you were like feeding insight into my ear as maybe I'm or somebody else is like talking
Some
with
of us
these
were
cops and like trying to organize something. You know?
Gather information. Yeah, that makes sense. So I'll use that. I'll use my Echo Stream power to says you create a stream of sound between members of your crew, allowing the group to hear each other from far off distances. And then I think someone who looks inconspicuous could go and maybe hang out with them. I mean, I suppose Jack or I could go into the apartment since we live there and just be like, hey, I'm just going to my apartment. And the others of us could go investigate other things outside or whatever. Or we could all go up, be like, hey, these are my friends. Go into my apartment, get out of my way, cops. Which is kind of like
yeah. I mean, powers are always successful. You just need to pay the cost in flair, and it immediately happens in a narrative. So there's no obstacle for you guys to set up and disperse across the apartment block, and each of them positioning themselves on the best way to help them. So who and how are they approaching the... Sorry, Tom?
No, I'll volunteer. That's what I'm saying.
So we have Jack that is approaching the sergeant. And how is he approaching the sergeant?
So Jack, aside from like his faintly like weirdly colored pale / marbled skin, looks pretty ordinary. Aside from like being like normal, so he would just be walking up. Why am my camera out of focus now? Honestly, he would just sort of be walking up as casual and as anything, thinking, what is going, giving a sort of like a, what is going on look here? I just want to go inside. Can I go inside, please? Kind of expression. Just and unless someone physically like puts their hand, if like tries to stop me, he would just like keep walking through as if he belongs there.
So the cops seem a bit apprehensive, looking at his skin, and step a bit back, except for the sergeant with the burns and the aviator glasses. He lets Jack go in, but as the door into the corridor is closing, he puts his feet between it. And you can hear his tongue hitting the ceiling of his mouth as he goes, Mr. J1 King, I assume.
Yeah, that's me.
Is everything all right at home?
So I just give him a strange look, like, what do you mean? And yeah, I know. I guess I would say, what do you mean?
Your name appeared on the report of the last occurrence. And he puts his aviator's glasses down, and you can see one milky blind eye on the burn side. It seems that you were on site when the last visit from the forces of authority came.
So I think Jack will just sort of just keep quiet, but sort of say, well, if it's a matter of record, why are you asking?
Well, we are worried about the people in apartment block 18. After all, this uniform serves everyone, including the people of Unity. And I'm quite distressed because he taps his aviator sunglasses that he's holding on his hand, and you can see the digital projection of a lot of files on different mutants that live on the apartment block. A lot of people that were here at the time of the last incident. I checked their houses and nobody was there. I would be at least a bit comforted by knowing that at least things are all right with you. And he swipes and he makes a careful decision to leave the projection on your file.
I see. Is there anything that I can sort of... So he's doing it deliberately to like indicate, oh look, I have a file, etc., right? Is there anything that I like get from that or is it just way too small for me to sort of make any detail
out? What exactly do you want to see on your own file? I'm curious about that. What can there be on Jack file that he wants or does not want to be there?
Right. So I want to see if like there are any like if there's a record of some sort that shouldn't be there. Like have they got doctored dossiers on us? Or
Okay, I will say the problem here is less being, well, the file is made so that it's easy for him wearing the glasses to read. So it's not very convenient. But I'll say, I just trying to figure out what is the best way. Either scrutiny, or maybe something a bit less orthodox. Survey can also work.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll say you can go with survey.
So I have a survey one.
Yeah, and the thing is, you have the rest of the group all tapped into what you can see. They can also try to read it out because you are using the echo. So anyone else can help if they want. So they can spend trauma to give you the dice. In which case, it allows that even if one of you does not see, the other is able to see. And I'm now going to offer a devil's bargain. If you accept the devil's bargain, either you succeed or not, the sergeant is going to notice that you were making an active effort to read it.
All right, okay. Then I'm like staring at this. Yeah, okay. I'll take that. I'll take that. Yep, that sounds good. Okay.
I think that I'm someone who's used to reading through files of people from my background, so I'm happy to help.
And I'll push myself as well, and take 2 stress. All right. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 dice. Yeah. All right. Let's roll with that. What was the position and effect as well?
That's actually a good question. Because that was kind of something that you did not expect. I also don't think that there is much risk from it. So let's say it's controlled.
Okay. I got a 6.
Okay, so Tom, what was the last mission that you, as in the group, or any of the other ALS organization did, and what permanent landmark of your success was left in the community? What is the last great job?
Permanent landmark in the community. So like, okay, so we so I think it was a supply mission essentially. So we were to we found a unique target to resupply a whole bunch of important stuff in one vehicle. So we ended up having to do some crazy stuff to hijack that vehicle without attracting attention. And that vehicle is still somewhere not nearby, but pretty obviously like put in like an abandoned parking lot, open space somewhere, and it is just covered in tags and graffiti as like a sort of a trophy of like the success of the clinic. And it's not a small thing. It's like a big semi-trailer type thing. So we took a lot of stuff.
So you are looking at trying to see if you see records of anything related to that job. You are relieved to notice that there is nothing.
Okay.
The sheet is clean. There's your address. the report that you had to file at the time of the last raid, the compensation that you got from the damage, which was a penance. I think you were able to replace one of the lamps that broke in the corridor. That was it. And you are relieved at that, but that does not escape to the attention of the sergeant. And his good eyes rests on you as the little what remains of the left side of the mustache rises as the hint of a smirk. Well, if there's anything that you remember about your neighbors and what happened to them, and then he taps the aviator glasses, and you see contact information being sent, and it says Sergeant Alexis Jackson. If you have anything on your neighbors, please feel free to call.
Will do, officer. And
Okay.
I turn around.
Okay, so you accept that, and you know that your shit is clean, but you know that the cops are aware that people have been disappearing or abandoning apartment 18. So as you are left there in the corridor leading to your apartment, you see the three of the cops. They seem to be pulling out one old, you haven't seen this in a while, laptops, and is connecting it to the fiberglass, trying to hack in the feed of an apartment house, which you know that it has been empty for 3 months now.
Right. So they're trying to like get security footage of an apartment, like a room in there, that like an apartment that is we know has been empty and abandoned for at least 3 months. Am I 100% sure that it is empty, like now, or?
Yeah, you know that it's free because you know that the person that lived there, they moved to apartment block 16. They were lucky to get a vacancy and move there.
Sure. So I will, yeah, I'll comply with the dude's request and say, look, point to this like thing that they're doing. You're kind of wasting your time if you're looking at this room here. Like, this place has been empty for the past 10, 12 weeks at least.
See, was that so hard? This is exactly the kind of good civic mindfulness that we hope to see from more people of Unity. Clear out, boys, he waves, and they move to another apartment. And this one, you know that it's occupied, but they spend like 1 minute tapping in and then move to the next one. And they seem to be going to be doing this through the entire building. And knowing how big apartment block 18 is, you know they're going to be here at least next 6 hours.
6 hours. Okay. That's the sort of thing that I wanted to sort of find out. Okay. Steph? All right. So I'm going to make my way away from them now. I'm going to leave them to their job. And so I'll say to the group, I think, so that I'll relay what we've discussed, like that they're doing the surveillance check thing. It's an excuse to hang around here. They're just like waiting for something to happen. Or they're specifically searching for a specific person, and like they're going from apartment to apartment. So what? I don't know if we need to like get anyone sensitive out of there or what.
And if Faye's vision is correct, then Maybe they'll find their own evidence, make their own persons.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. Because if
They're looking for any excuse to shut down the clinic. They'll find one eventually here.
so Ludo, is the clinic itself like a converted apartment, or is it like an actual building that was like so it's a converted apartment?
At least, and Michael, feel free to interject because you establish it most and legit is related to your character. The idea that I'm picturing is that it's a converted apartment, one of these that have been too dilapidated, but you can still put walls and keep patients and clean it up. And actually, people that need to be permanently, they actually move in with someone that actually lives in the apartment but collaborates with the clinic. So that's where you have patient beds, and the medical supplies, they are scattered also around abandoned apartments. So it's very decentralized. So they can stumble either on the converted apartment or into the hidden supplies.
Yeah, that makes sense to me for sure. Yeah, I like this idea that there's kind of like a lobby sort of area, that was once like, the lobby of an apartment building, and that's where, you see intake people hanging out there and whatnot. But yeah, I think they've had to turn individual apartments into different medical stations, I guess.
Treatment rooms for certain things, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I think that this probably isn't the first time, I guess, that cops have like been snooping around. So we have had to be kind of like, clever and hide things away and squirrel things away to try to keep it legit, so to speak. So my idea, I don't know how you all feel about cooperating with the police, but maybe we could turn this into a win-win situation. Maybe Flint and I go down to Magenta and track down Cloak, give them the evidence that they're trying so hard to create, give them a little bribe, so to speak, they can take back to their superiors, and maybe that'll satisfy their urges.
I love the idea of getting rid of Cloak, but if the cops find Cloak, they're just going to use it as an excuse. They're going to say that, the clinic is part of it or something like that. I mean, we have to like make sure that they're totally separate, that nobody's going to use that as an excuse to shut down the clinic.
What can we do, Flint?
Could we give him a fake clinic? Like, make them think they caught Cloak in his clinic or something?
Yeah. That's perfect, actually. Give them... I mean, everyone in Unity Heights knows about Block 18, but that's perfect. If there was something else, so what would we need to do that? So we need to find Cloak first.
Okay, I would say that sorry to interject. I would say that this is now going to be a job, and the job is to get Cloak. So I'll say we take a break, and when we come back and we cut to the engagement roll montage of you guys setting up for the job. Okay? See you in 5.
Sorry, I've been here. I just forgot to turn my camera back on.
Okay, so everyone here. So my suggestion is that we try to make this job, and we move to setting up the engagement. Is everyone okay with this and ready to move forward? Okay. So the group decided that the best way to protect the clinic and apartment block 18 is to not only take down Cloak, but also pin on him that he's the one that is operating an illegal clinic. So how is every one of you setting up, getting information, engaging maybe with Cloak's people, finding where they have their stuff, getting help? So why don't we take different cuts to what everyone is doing to advance this? Let's start with Flint is doing.
She's pretty familiar with the drug scene, so she's just going through all their contacts, asking people what they know, just trying to get all the information she can.
And what is Gray doing to prepare for getting the jump on Cloak?
I think that she is so are we doing this in two parts where first we get Cloak and then we pin him, or is that all one
I will say if the job goes well enough, you get both things. Otherwise, something gonna give.
Because I had been thinking that maybe Gray is like helping to set up these fake drug lab, so to speak, in some of these abandoned rooms, and that she can kind of like use her wipeout ability to like set things up, but then they forgot that they saw her in there, so to speak, and if that makes sense, like on the cameras, right?
That makes sense. I just went to call back to something that Tom brought up, is that if it is on apartment 18, that's still going to keep the cops interested on the building. So is she doing that on apartment 18 or somewhere else?
Well, I think that we're doing it in apartment 18 because we're hoping that will satisfy that, like, they're no longer going to be worried about a clinic at apartment 18 because they think that they've taken it out.
Oh, so you are taking a gamble because the best lie to tell is one that is partially truth. And they know that there is a clinic on apartment 18. I like that. Risky.
I think that was Flint's idea, right? Is that right, Kyle? Yeah, okay. So, yeah. It is dangerous, though, because it could still kind of bring the heat down on us, so.
And what is Jack doing?
So Jack would be more involved in like the pursuit for Cloak directly. Jack would be trying to I guess use his own like underworld connection through Dominic and Victoria, I suppose. Like the whole underground fighting scene, because I'm sure there'd be a bunch of people into EOD in that scene, and as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. And there's a whole dirty side that he tries to stay clear of, but people know stuff, and yeah, Jack has earned some favors in his time, so he would be pulling some strings, flexing some muscle here and there, that sort of stuff.
And what is Storm doing? You seem to have a lot of intel and already the perfect setup to plant a link to Cloak on.
I'm sorry, were you asking me a question?
Yes, so we already have very good intel. We already have the setup for the crime scene, let's say, to plant a tie to Cloak. So what is Thorn doing in the preparation to...
Oh, yeah. So I think Thorn's thought is that we need to mitigate the risk that they're going to find the real clinic. So Thorn's going to go down to the real clinic and be like, okay, put everything away, hide everything, stash everything, get the patients so that they look like they're not patients or whatever. If they still have to be in their beds, like, try and make it look like if they do stumble upon the real clinic, they'll just be like, oh yeah, it's just a regular apartment or whatever.
Okay, so let's go for the engagement role. So you have one base. You are doing this on department 18, so it's very risky but high reward. So you get an extra dice. So that's 2. You also get an extra dice because you have very good network. You have got a lot of intelligence of who might be dealing with Cloak, who might be working for Cloak, who might be buying for Cloak. So you have enough breadcrumbs. And I would say you also have another major advantage, is that because you have the vehicle from the last job, which was supposed for supplies, so you have also a bit extra of supplies that you can use to furnish the fake lab to make it even more real. Also, you have a vehicle that the police are looking for, so that can come up helpful later. So that will be also another advantage. So I'll say you have 4 dice for the engagement roll. So one of you, please roll.
Are those 4 on the side some that somebody rolled?
Yes.
For presently or previously?
Previously. No, as in, yeah. So I haven't. That's what I rolled earlier.
I'll just re-roll those. 2, 1, 5, 5. Not perfect.
You are doing this under the nose of the cops, and you are asking a lot of questions. So at some point, you are careless. At some point, things do not go as necessary. So as you are moving supplies around, Cloak gets wind that someone is going for them, and Cloak is not blind. They know that the cops are around, and they know that there is a lot of things going on during the festival. So as you are finishing your touch, you still need to connect the fake lab to Cloak. And as you are the 4 in the truck, you have to stop. And you have to stop for a very simple reason. The parade with the fast cars is going to the principal road that is going to lead to apartment block 18. So that is going to be there for a while. So you're going to take a detour. But as you are going to go back with the supply truck, you spot the lights of another armored car. This one painted black. And you recognize some of the people on the driver's seat as regulars on Magenta. You suspect that the people on that track are Cloak's people, and he has been getting something that has put monkeys on his head, and he wants some answers. So you are trying to back the street, and there is this truck behind you, and in front you have the parade. So what you do now?
So I have a quick question for you, Ludo. Yeah, how long do you think our session will go today?
I want to ask, do you want to, depends on the availability of you guys' time, do you want to run the job to the end, or you want to stop on a cliffhanger?
I mean, I'd rather, I don't have a whole lot of extra time. I feel like the job's probably going to go for quite a while longer.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's pretty late here, so I would prefer to call it earlier than go on.
I think we actually might be on a good drop point. We see the parade in front. We see the armored van with the Cloak's guns behind. And we see you turning on your seat as the credits roll. Okay. So
rock in a hard place.
Yeah, gonna stop here. Gonna do some